Hi and welcome to this series where I run through the IT management approaches, models, methodologies, activities and practices. I'll be giving you the main headline points and base foundation you need to know about. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and click the bell for those updates. Okay, so let's get to it. Today I'm going to be covering off the key concepts in SIAM, Service Integration and Management. We've already covered off the layers, the structures and the drivers for SIAM in previous videos, so please do check those out. But today we're going to be talking about the SIAM roadmap and the last stage there, which is around run and improve. Okay, in a nutshell, the objectives of what you're trying to do here, it's the day-to-day running, it's the delivery, the service delivery, your management of the processes, the teams, the service providers, the tooling that's in place and continual improvement. You're looking at those business outcomes and managing those processes. So it's all about operating the ecosystem, keeping the lights on, the day-to-day operations and the integration elements, some CSI in there, making sure you've got that collaborative environment for those service providers. The service integrator must demonstrate that it's got a fair and impartial environment in place. Your consideration around the structural elements, so working groups, governance boards, change advisory board as an example, reporting on the performance and the value to the customer. You need to be able to demonstrate value. I've got another video on that, so please do check out my channel around if you want to work out how to demonstrate value to your customer when you're operating in a SIAM ecosystem, and then really focusing on those business outcomes and the KPIs. Just a slight aside here, depending on the phase that you've gone for in terms of your approach, you may be in a situation where you've still got some service providers that are outside the ecosystem, the governance model. So if you've gone for a big bang, you've got everybody in one go. If you've gone for a phased approach, it may well be possible at this point you do have some service providers that are outside. So quick reminder, the roadmap, there's 4 stages to it: discovery and strategy, plan and build, implement and run and improve. And then for each stage there are objectives, triggers, inputs, activities and outputs. So we're focusing on the run and improve here. So objectives, as we've already said, it's about managing that SIAM model. So you will have previously worked out, are you going for externally sourced, internally sourced, hybrid, lead supplier? And those will be dependent on the customer structure, the business requirements, capabilities, maturity, skill set, resourcing levels and complexity of your customer, as well as the organization's overall corporate structure and its size. It's all about day-to-day service delivery, BAU, business as usual, around management of processing, tools, teams, CI activity, so continual improvements. Perhaps that's around processes and functions, perhaps that's SIAM, continual improvement of SIAM governance, maybe that's continual improvement around business processes, divisions of responsibilities, overall structure. The list goes on as to what continual improvement activities could be. The triggers would be around, well, you've just done the implement stage, so you've gone through discovery, strategy, plan and build, then you've got the implement, which is make it happen, and now you're in the run and improve. So clearly the implement stage is the trigger. Once that's done, once you've implemented, you're into the next stage, you're into that run and improve. And as I say, if you've gone for a phased approach, it could well be that you're still working through an incremental approach, and maybe that's a process or could even be a service provider or whatever that phase is, service, process, service provider, whatever it is, it may be you've got some of those activities outside of the SIAM governance approach at this stage. Next point to talk around is our inputs. So the input to this stage is obviously the SIAM model, the process models, and a kind of reporting, performance management, making sure there's a collaborative environment for those service providers, and your tooling strategy. So you will have already thought through, how are we going to support the process of incident management? What about problem management? What about change management? What about release or config? Or how are we going to deal with service requests, SRs, when they come in? That all is part of your tooling strategy, and that does dovetail into some of those other activities as well, perhaps reporting or capacity management or asset management. Perhaps if you've got some automation in there, you've got some proactive and reactive event management. So the inputs really here for the run and improve, like the step before, all of your inputs from discovery and strategy, plan and build and implement are the inputs into run and improve. And then the activities. So we'll be talking around governance, structural elements here. Reminder that governance activities, you've got 3 different layers. You've got a tactical, you've got a strategic, a tactical and an operation level. When we talk about structural elements, we're talking boards, we're talking process forums and working groups. And then performance management as well. So monitoring and measuring key performance indicators, KPIs, and SLAs. Those will be 2 different types. You'll have the data-driven ones, and you'll have sort of the more difficult to measure, less tangible. So you'll have quantitative and qualitative measures there that you want to be thinking about. Clearly, you need to operate those structural elements that we've just talked about in terms of the boards and the process forums and working groups. Change advisory board always springs to mind when I say that. And then you're managing those elements those structural elements on a day-to-day basis. You're going to be considering audits, both from a service perspective, both from all of those service providers as well, and the various processes within there, and looking and keeping the ecosystem healthy, making sure that if a particular service provider has done something that has demonstrated collaborative behavior, provide some kind of reward for that. Don't just do it on results. Clearly results are important, outcomes of course are important, but if there's correct behavior there, collaboration specifically, make sure you're thinking around the rewarding structure there. It could just even be recognition. And then ongoing change management, both from a technical perspective and both from a organizational structure and people perspective. The run and improve stage at this point needs to be seen as, this is just how we do it. This is how the support model works. In terms of roles, so ideally at this point you'll have in place a SIAM governance lead, chairing governance board meetings, doing assurance for implementation and operational stuff, both from a strategic and from an operational perspective. Then the governance artifacts. This role is usually held by the customer within its retained capability. So it's usually quite a senior role, and it provides that assurance on the SIAM journey, as well as that operational strategy. The other role to be aware of is this SIAM operational lead. So this is around leading and managing that ecosystem, the operational governance, providing direction, being an escalation point, leadership. Typical type of role you would see here is maybe a head of service delivery type title, and that role sits within the service integrator. And then the process owner would be another role that exists in all 3 layers: the customer retained capability, the service integrator and the service provider, providing that end-to-end accountability of a process. So think scope, think implementation, think management of that process, think the functioning and the health and the outcome of that process. And then finally, the output. So the output of the run and improve stage splits into 2 parts. You've got the daily run in terms of BAU activities. So there's going to be lots of day-to-day business as usual activities there. And then you've got that improvement element, that CI, continual improvement element that will make sure that things are improving all the time. They're evolving. They're incrementally getting better. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll continue to post information. Please do subscribe.